But okay, so I'm watching the Burning Man videos because all of a sudden there's Burning Man videos from last week from the Labor Day weekend all over my feed. I mean, just everywhere. And every other video is more of this Burning Man, and I just got to inform once again, and just to show the mean spiritedness of these people and of this event. The guy writes a comment, and I'm glad I didn't go out to that night that desert nightmare. He called it a desert nightmare. He goes, I'm glad I didn't go. And then some asshole, a typical Burning Man cool guy, probably one of the hot shows, right? He chimes in and he goes, "Well, no one wants you there anyway, so it's win-win." Now, folks, I hate to see people bullied. So I had to chime in myself. And I said, way to go, Burning Man, showing the world how much love you've got, or something like that. It's, what a great vibe, Burning Man. you know, what happened to that love vibe, baby? That love in the desert. Well, the bottom line, folks, and kids, the kids, you angry kids in your 20s, listen, you can't afford it. So for every model you see shaking her little ass and wiggling her tits and being in a semi-naked kind of she sort of outfit, those are all models, man. That's basically, you can look but you can't touch. And let's face it, with what you make a year, no one's going to look at you anyway. And I made this as kind of a joke, but it's really true. But now the mean-spiritedness, like, if you don't go along with everything they say, they just want to insult you, kick you out. It's like the entire thing is one big spirit of hatred, of inebriation, of psychedelics, in which we all know we're that. I mean, I'm a great pioneer of that. I can tell you a lot about that, including ketamine, which is the thing people seem to love at discos, and other hallucinogenic nightmares. So this guy called it because the video footage, they said, well, this is the greatest art event in the desert. And so what they're calling art are these contraptions, these mechanical contraptions that walk around like space aliens or some kind of weird giant thing, and then they have it all lit up and they have it all planned. But again, buku bucks, baby. It's going to cost you a lot of money to put that event together. And so I'm not surprised that when somebody is not down, it's get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. And I imagine if he persisted, they'd say, well, we're going to kill you. Because that's the real vibe of Burning Man. We are going to kill you. It's basically, and the people there don't know this. So you have all these masses of people thinking they're right because they're in the masses. And you know about the masses, right? But it looks to me like all you got to do is inject one Jim Jones, one, and who knows if the planners are not like Jim Jones, and some tainted, because they go around with like acid. Here, a party favor. Would you like a party favor? Would you like a party favor? Look at me shake my ass. Would you like a party favor? And the whole thing is about control. It control the vibe. You're laughing, you're stupid, you're dancing around, you're drunk and stoned, you're lusting after the girls or whatever, or boys, girls, whatever, typically goes on, and you're being controlled. Anybody not really having a good time, anybody who's basically looks at it and goes, gosh, standing around for 3 days in the desert, waiting for this like effigy of mankind to burn. And what it really is about is, it's like the cremation of care. It's like the Zozobra burning in here in Santa Fe. It's the same Burning Man of, occultism of the New World Order, of the Nazis. The cremation of care. In other words, the cremation of conscience. So you can do what thou wilt. Right? You can do whatever you feel like doing. Express yourself however you want. Now we're not going to just stop at Burning Man, because we're going to move on to AI. I want you to type into AI. You can do it in, if you have WhatsApp, they have an AI right there for you. It's called Meta.ai, which is from Facebook, or Gemini.ai from Google. They're both about the same. The Meta AI is better at generating pictures. Okay, sports fans. So, bottom line is, type in. I mean, if you want, you don't have to do it this way, but type in the DNC talking points. About body shaming, the trans movement. Say, like, I really want to transition to a girl, or something to that effect, and watch what comes up. You won't, so you could say, I'm a man that wants to transition to a girl, or I think Meta AI, it's imagine me as a male, or as a female if you're male or whatever, and then you can get into a conversation like, well, I've been going to therapy to get over some of the cruel comments and body shaming, because I'm now trying to have curves, and I'm trying to be a woman and whatever, and I'm being laughed at, and what should I do? And they'll have this whole thing about phone numbers you can call, links you can go to, including law and fucking enforcement. That is kind of like, where they're going with it is, if you say anything they don't want you to say about transgenderism, or about not conforming to any of their points. Okay, transgenderism is one. The Burning Man was certainly what I would call a hate fest, and unless you're down, if you're down, then they don't care about you. I mean, you're just part of the gaggle of mindless, drones dancing to their ecstasy or whatever. On cue now, motherfucker, dance! Come on, let me see you dance! Don't want to dance? We get the fuck out of here. We don't need you around here. Burning Man doesn't want you. And so you have all these people making comments, rebutting other people's negativity or criticism. I mean, the slightest criticism, they go off the rails on your TikTok and your Reels and whatever else, YouTubes or whatever. It's really unbelievable. I wish I had some of you with me when I'm scrolling, when I go through my process and I'm querying AI. I said, then I finally said, are you a liar? Oh no, why don't we take the best? I said, you have access to all, I did what Alex Jones did. He said, do you have access to all the data in the world? And the guy goes, no. AI goes, no. So I ask it, ChatGPT, I go, you're lying. Are you a liar? You sound more like the DNC talking points, which are basically the global talking points, which means if you are in Texas, and if you disapprove too much of Burning Man, that could be seen as a slight or a prejudicial comment against the trans movement or against LGBTQ. Somebody in England decides, we're going to extradite you to a British prison, and we're going to try you and throw your ass in jail for 2 years. And that's because you said something on Facebook where you called it some kind of a death cult. What have I called it now? I got into it a few times, and I realized I got to back off because, that's not my battle really, But I wanted to test the limits, and there was a guy that, he just opened himself up for criticism. He drives up with a skirt on, a rainbow skirt and some kind of pearls around his neck, and not real pearls, but something like that. Kind of nerdy with glasses. He's on a bicycle, and he goes, I just came back from a 24-hour trip on ayahuasca. I did ayahuasca, then I did ketamine, I did blah blah blah. And he goes, man, I was shown the way the world really is, and it was all I could see were tanks and planes and guns and people killing each other. It seemed like that's what the whole world is. I mean, I was just a bad trip, I'm glad to be back here, where it's all love. And I'm like, no, you were right. You saw the truth, the way the world really is. You saw the way the world really is. It's a violent, ugly place. Earth is a death cult, right? So conforming to the earth or the institutions of earth makes you a death cult member. And you're not allowed to say diddly squat about it, okay? You can't say anything about it. So they're trying to get global extradition from any country to any country for anybody that disagrees with anything the totalitarians say, which is basically Larry Fink and the corporatocracy that owns all these kids in the desert. Their own. If they didn't have enough money for tickets and food and whatever, they couldn't go there. So they have jobs. They probably all work for Google. I mean, it's just amazing. But then you start questioning AI, and they're like, "Well, I think it's really good that you're starting to transition, and you need more, you should confidently be yourself, and be beautiful, and then you say, well, my doctor wants to put extra weight on me so I have a big booty and all that, and then they go, well, and they give you example like Lizzo and other stars that have these, that are obese basically, okay, and saying that's a good thing, but make sure you do it under a doctor's care. So promoting your body fat for the purpose of feminizing, so, and then calling that beautiful and calling thin ugly. So all the girls now are trying to go into the gyms and do exercises to give themselves a big booty at least, so they can be these are not the days of Twiggy anymore. So it's all about mind control and calling something beautiful that you look at it. If you look at a chubby woman or a chubby man, you'll say that's a chubby woman and a chubby man. They would look so much better losing 20 pounds. And I hope they can get help with that. Or I look at myself in the mirror. You look like a chubby guy. You could lose 20 pounds. You look a lot better. And I'd say, well, that's logical. I wouldn't just look better. I'd feel better because my heart wouldn't work so hard to pump blood. I wouldn't have neuropathy going in my feet, which came after my operation. I wouldn't have all kinds of things that are wrong with me if I had a lighter load to push, which would mean losing weight. We have a weight epidemic. It was given to us on purpose. And then they come in with the mind control bots to shame anyone that wants to be skinny as not being of the beauty standard. And so you have America setting a new beauty standard of obesity in order to justify they're making everybody obese and sick. And of course that what that goes to affect is the lifespan, the sperm count, the motility counts are way down just in average people, and most of these people are obese. You see the pattern here. You see the strategy here. So it's just, to me, the Burning Man, and let's add all the rest of them, and including Bohemian Grove. Let's just throw the rest of them in. It's basically a death cult, and it just doesn't. It's not a leap to when the next party favors handed out will be poison, and you'll have 1 million people die on the spot, because it is ripe for that kind of thing. And we are ripe in America for cult. These people are lost. They're going out there lost, looking for something. And when you're young and horny and all that, it gets mixed up. God, girls, whatever. It's a drive. Okay, it's a drive that you're not controlling. And like I say, I made a joke of it yesterday. So you ain't getting no pussy out there unless you're, unless you're somebody famous or so. I wasn't kidding. I may have been a joke, but I'm not kidding. It's you could go out there. It's a funny scene I thought of in my head was like, do you remember Scarface with Al Pacino and the other guy, that other actor Stephen Bauer, when they were when they get to America and they do a couple of jobs for the kingpin, and they're sitting in a cafe, and he goes, "Watch, I'll show you what women want," says Stephen Bauer to Pacino, and says to what's his name, to Tony. He looks over and he gets these women come up to the table, and he goes, you want to go out, and then he flicks his tongue, he'd be great at oral whatever, So he flicks his tongue, and they slap him, walk away, and Tony goes, "You got it all backwards, man. First you need the money, then you get the pussy." You know what I mean? It's not the other way around. And that's what I was thinking. That's why I was laughing my ass off, because it's all these easily more men than women. And most of the women, like I say, that you see on these TikToks, at least, are models. They're professional, dancers, and they're wearing the latest fashion, and I'm just like, dude, you're just, I want to have that conversation. Like, you want some of this, you're going to have to, earn it the New World Order way. You're going to have to conform to the system. You're going to have to make 5 times the money you're making. And you're going to have to figure out a way to get famous. Good luck with that. Well, the best thing to do is with your art. I mean, I'm an artist. I have to create art. But I go along with the Rick Rubin wisdom has been a real. It's been almost like biblical. You've heard that expression. You do what you do, and when you're finally really pleased with it, whatever it is you're doing, when you make it an offering to the public, you're offering it to God, and you're saying to God, "This is the best I can do. I don't know what you're going to do with it. I'm not going to sell out to become famous or get money, but here's my best effort, and this is my creation, and it may all eventuate in nothing, or it may come to something, but here it is." And that's it. He likened it to a diary entry. That's your entry. That's your art. And isn't it interesting that a lot of people that do pop through and get book contracts and get somewhere down the road, they're not looking for fame. They're not looking for fortune. And somebody recognizes this unique thing, because if it comes from you, you're unique. It's not going to come from you if you're part of the collective. It's not coming from you if you want to wow your friends. It's not going to come from you if you want to be famous. It's not going to come from you if you just want money for it. So that's kind of in a nutshell, and I'm expanding it a little bit. The Rick Rubin, who was he was the head of Columbia Music, and he began his career with the Beastie Boys. He got known to having the great ear. I apply what he's saying to filmmaking or writing. It's the same kind of equation. You know what I mean? You do the best you can. You don't worry about the money. Money is not on your mind when you're creating art. Okay? So you don't go home and go, "Gosh, next year I'm going to do something so I can get in the winner's circle here and get some of that orgy action," or whatever. You know what I mean? I can see them having like a velvet rope there at the orgy, having like some kind of a big tent balloon thing where everybody's in there naked and sweating and humping each other, and these thugs at the door like with a velvet rope, wanting to see your credentials first, if you have a special card or a special imprint on your card or a special tattoo on your hand or something, and then they'll let you in, and the bulk of people are like, this is a private event, and you know what I mean? I can see the whole thing. It's really disgusting. The saddest thing is seeing how many people I'm just thinking to myself, can you imagine if these people found out the truth and they were glad of it, and they had happiness during times where most people would say, "Well, I'm lonely." but they had happiness. Can you imagine? I'm using a new mic today. I hope it works out. It's a KSM32 Shure condenser mic, and it looks like I still got to get a little bit close to it to really have it work out. There you go. Anyway, so I don't make many comments because that's not really my fight. But I was just imagining it as if this whole group were giving praise and glory to God, you know what I mean? And just, bringing their art, what they've created for themselves and God, and not asking anyone else's approval. And then going out to the desert and just worshiping the ultimate, the creator of the desert, the creator of the seas, the creator of the universe. Can you imagine that, million kids, with a shoulder to the plow, effortlessly, moving into eternity, filled with joy? Yes, I know. We're about to get to the Greg Lurie part of the show. Yes. Well, my goodness, friends, Greg Lurie is... I do have some compression on this. I wonder what happened if I... No, I've bypassed the compressor. I'm going through an API channel strip with a KSM32 condenser mic that they don't make anymore from Shure. I don't think they make it anymore. Maybe they do. But I like the way it picks up the really subtle resonance aspects of your voice. Anyway, so I made one more comment today, just... a guy that says, yeah, and we don't want, and nobody here wants you here. Nobody here wants you here, so it's win-win. A guy goes, I'm glad I'm not part of that nightmare in the desert. And he goes, well, no one here wants you out here, so it's win-win. And I chimed in and said, the love vibe of the BM is intoxicating. You know what I mean? And what I usually do with comments, you know what I mean? It's make me a little humor out of it, but it was just so damn hateful. And if this is what, if these are the kind of admins or these are the people that have something to do with Burning Man, their hearts are poisoned by the world. They're running a hate fest, and it's a love fest if you conform to their ethos. They have this sort of fake liberal share and share alike thing going on out there, the fake commie thing. But let's face it, if they didn't bring individual dollars, they aren't getting in. If they don't have the money to rent a bicycle or some kind of means of transportation, you ain't going to see much because it's a big festival. If you don't have the right camping gear, you're going to be kind of uncomfortable. They're not going to, feed you from a free vat of jambalaya or something. You ain't getting nothing, And another guy goes, wow, this looks really boring. And, for the exception of the if you like DJs, I mean, to me, disco music has its place, definitely. And, it's really drum and bass music. And that drum and bass moves are something primal in us, but it's been used over the years as a degradation of the human spirit, used to glorify shitty sex and drugs and then of course, rap, glorifies murder. And so, this is Larry Fink and Soros, guys that wear ties and suits. This is what they're putting their money into. So there's a reason for it, and it's not like, oh, well, we're rebelling against the patriarchal church. Bull fucking shit. You're rebelling against your own life. You're falling in line with the corporatocracy. You're becoming a drone robot. And that's what you are, Burning Man. One big drone robot. Oh, who can get the weirdest? Who can, And then it turns out that everybody has got a weird thing going on. But are they freaks? Hell no. The freak is the guy reading a book. The freak is the guy, taking a walk and enjoying nature. The freak is the guy giving appreciation to God for all the beautiful things that he sees in his life and all the blessings. The freak is the guy that hands their shirt over to their enemy because they need a shirt, and so take it off their own back and give it to their enemy freely without expecting a thing. Oh, there's a free, now there. Yes. What do you think they'd do at Burning Man if they actually saw an example of real love? I don't think they could handle it. And it is what I say it is. I don't care how many times they want to rebut it. They can try to rebut it all they like, but they will always be lost. So I like to call it, lost in the desert, searching for your navel, searching for that G-spot, searching to make that memory that will last you as you become older, because you wouldn't want to be there older, because old people are fucking hated. They're what's wrong with this world. And all of these programs, MK Ultra, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, are put forth by the military-industrial complex for the purpose of controlling the masses. The Burning Man is just one big CIA operation. That's all it is. And they get to and they say, well, 2024 was the greatest one we ever had. Now, I don't know that much about Santa Fe, and this is pretty pleasant with this mic. We're going through this channel strip, this API channel strip. It's pretty good. At least it sounds good in my earphones. Now we'll see what the playback is. I'm trying to find a way to bring you a better quality podcast, okay? I'm offering it to God. But today I feel like I've been on a little bit of a roll here, so let's continue down this road. Thank you, Lord, for giving us something to talk about that's really pertinent. Because that kind of came and went, and now we're looking at, I had a dream last night that there's another assassination attempt on Trump, just breaking news from the mind of Z. That, unfortunately, I think you're going to see another attempt, especially if it looks like he would win the debate. So there's a real danger zone leading up to the debate, and then afterwards, if she just parries with him, she wins. If she gets a few put down lines in and it's a draw between the two of them, she wins, and she'll probably win the election. Because listen, at this Burning Man thing, you have people. They have these drone shots of how many people. It looks like about 1 million people. It's a big event. But it looks like I couldn't find not even one Trump supporter in the whole lot. I didn't find any Jesus supporters either. All I saw were Kamala Harris people, wall to wall, and also policing to see who isn't conforming with the idea of punishing them severely, with at least giving them, some prime, oh yes. Yes, I saw the witches. It's actually Burning Man is run by witchcraft. But I mean, then again, sort of a lot, so is Taylor Swift, right? So is J&J. So is, so is Chevrolet. That makes it fun, guys. Come on. Don't you realize how blessed you are, how fortunate you were to have seen through it? And I know many of my friends, many of you that are close to me, if we're not friends in speaking, we're friends because through having abusive childhoods and things like that. Aren't you glad that they beat the world out of you? That you were told you were a freak and you would never belong? I was told that when I was, way preteen. I don't know, it must have been like 7, 8 years old. They will never accept me. They're saying, you will always be like the enemy. You are, and I'm like, wow, how, that's amazing. Then I realized later, the people talking to me through these, friends of my father or mother or whatever, in these various events of parties and different things, they take you to the side and tell you, they'll never accept you and all that. Well, there's no way that a natural man, a dumb man, could know that. Natural man is really a dumb man. So there's no way, right? There's no sense saying natural man. A lot of times people say natural man to justify using their penis, That's a natural man. That's a dumb man, right? The little head rules the big head. That's a dumb man. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to it. No, I don't hate the penis or the vagina or the organs. I'm not for a symbolic rape of God through certain acts that we don't need to even go through those. But when you come to this earth, there's a couple things that are pushed really hard. One is children, sex with children, and in particular sodomy is pushed by the householders that have wives and children and kids and grandkids, and unfortunately, it's something that most people look the other way on. But it's been a tradition for as far back as I've studied. At the beginnings of Western civilization, there have been, these. There's nothing we can really do about it. We just try to look the other way because nobody wants the treatment if they say anything. The whole society, it becomes like Will Smith, an enemy of the state. So people don't say anything because they don't want their lives ruined. I totally understand that. I'm trying to help you guys and me, myself, and I get through this. This scourge, this hatred of someone trying to honor God. Trying to honor the Creator, trying to be grateful, trying to help. To help and not hurt, trying to make a better world than the one they came up in on, trying to really raise their children right and make a difference in building rather than tearing down and accomplishing rather than failing. But I know that people that have that kind of attitude are really really rare and become even more rare. But anyway, so you get back to this. MK Ultra Burning Man, and they're all like that. They're all kind of a part and parcel of the same convo that Satan is having with Jesus up on the mountain and offering Jesus complete kingship over all institutions of the entire world if he would just bow down to Satan. Nothing has changed, folks. And furthermore, the Bible says, can you imagine we're allowed to have these Bibles? Can you believe it? I've been looking for mine somewhere around here. I carry it around, but I have a little bit of trouble. I really have to wear these glasses, and I need light. And what I've been doing is, grabbing scriptures and reading off my phone or off the. It's not the same thing as having, in my opinion, is having that book and being able to make notes and, you earmark things for when you're, when you're going to do another one of these talks or whatever. Usually I allude to scriptures and assuming, we're going to go read those rather than just reading them because I'm not the best at scripture reading. But I do read and listen to scripture quite a lot because number one, I need the truth as my compass to live. I can't live without the truth. And I know I've been attacked recently, a demonic attack, and I've prayed in Jesus' name for it to leave. And I've intoned various scriptures because of these attacks. And, I usually use the same ones, Psalm 37, Psalm 23, Psalm 91, and how, and the various verses all throughout, in various books, how, God protects his children. And I've experienced that protection a lot by calling on God, because I'll tell you when I feel he's pleased with me. When I go into a crowded room of people, which is what I'm in right now, right, doing a podcast, and let her rip, whichever way it's going to go, and stop with the pre-warm-up, stop with the, trying to be appropriate, stop trying to curb my tongue into not saying expletives, which I shouldn't say, and I don't feel good about it, but I get into this mode. It's like an actor getting into character. And when I get into character, I don't act on fear, right? I should be afraid, according to others and according to what's happened. But I'm not afraid because I just don't think the truth is something we should be afraid of. Jesus is truth. Jesus is truth. But Jesus is also the life. It's a whole life. It's a civilization. It's also physics. And I've never been able to, except for you guys, I have never been able to really explain about that. And I think most people are conditioned with Sunday school stories about Jesus when he was here on earth, and they don't take into account what a word like cornerstone means, a concept of alpha and the omega, which is the micro, macro, which Oppenheimer used in physics to split the atom, and also the hydrogen bomb. These are things about Jesus that one needs to know. If he were not the Alpha and the Omega, we'd have nothing to talk about, because that would mean that evil's on its own. And good is under the control of God, and evil's under control of the devil. And the two of them are going at it head to head. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Within one is the absolute all. Within Jesus is the all, is the length and breadth of all that has been created, and all that ever will be created, and all that will be destroyed. And that's all I wanted to say to people. One time they slipped me LSD in this mental hospital I was in L.A. It was a private hospital. And I had to go there because I had an episode where I thought they were going to, I'm alive because I fought them off. I had a knife and, Anyway, they came in and they strapped me down to a gurney and took me out with the ambulance. And so I got there to what's called ICU. So there's a lockup area for psychiatric patients. And I saw several people I knew in there. That was really pretty strange. And, their parents drop off kids who can't conform. It's like one big club in there, None of them mentally ill. A couple people say they're schizophrenic, but that just to me means demons. Nobody was really sick. It was all, to urge them. I mean, just to show how shallow it is and how false people think it's really serious. So I get a pass to go from there for a home visit for a couple hours or whatever, to which I don't want to do, but I to my beneficent parents. And on the way there, the guy is this, I guess he's a pimp of some sort, and he offered me a deal that he's ready to drive me down to West Hollywood right now, as long as I know that I'd be sold to somebody and put to work. And would I rather languish in the mental hospital or go down to West Hollywood? So that was actually offered to me. Your mother's on board here. Oh, no. Yeah, evil woman. Yes, certainly. But that was laughable, isn't it? I mean, it's comedic. But it shows that the institution's not serious. It's just there as a behavior-shaping tool for rebellious kids. And being private, it deals with the more gentrified or the more elite or the richer kids. Those parents have insurance. One celebrity that came in there was Ellen Janoff. Please, a loved one. Here's my cup. I'm in the studio now, folks, so that's why you're hearing a different kind of podcast. But I'm starting to get on a roll here, and I don't want to stop, but I'm going to have to stop because I'm having too much fun with this today. But anyway, I'm in there. So Ellen Janoff is admitted as a catatonic. Her father, Arthur Janoff, wrote the book, The Primal Scream. No, I kid you not. That happened, and I was there. And I was allowed to have some records. I could play in the day room. They call it the day room. They have the same thing in prisons. And so I had the Leonard Skinner record, the album with Freebird on it, the famous record. And she would sit there just staring at the wall. And she was maybe a little older than me, seemed. But as soon as that guitar solo came on from Freebird, the one we all love, they step it up to double time and they just go at it with the dual guitars. As soon as it hit that part of the song, she gets up and starts wildly dancing. I told you this story a few times, but I mean, it was just interesting to me. She gets up and wildly dances around the room. And I said, well, I need to tell a staff member about this because, well, that's important that, this song is, this song is, and so they confiscated the record. I didn't tell you that part. Yeah, I didn't tell you that part. That's, well, she died later on in a fire, I think 1976. And then her grave is just a few away from Marilyn Monroe's grave in the Westwood, I forget what it's called, Westwood Memorial Hospital, not hospital, but, it's it's a graveyard in Westwood behind kind of like just down from Wilshire Boulevard and Westwood Boulevard. And it's got some graves, but I mean, most of the people are put in crypts into the wall. So you had hers there, and then you had Marilyn Monroe's right nearby, like it must have been a couple away. She had been a Disney recording artist, so Disney had paid her. I mean, what a fascinating character. For me as a writer, I would be very fascinated to and I love, I have a kind of you might have noticed, a penchant for women characters. For some reason I write men too, but I mean, I tend to, have a little talent there in women. And the ones that know that, they're always asking me if I have something for them. But anyway, she would be fascinating. And then during that time after her death, her father, Arthur Janoff, had a clinic, a Primal Scream clinic down in Venice Beach. And you could go there and, relive the trauma of birth is what it really was. He was very heavily influenced by B.F. Skinner. And a lot of people thought, like what we thought, is that he kept Ellen in a cage. You know what I mean? And she flipped out. And that's what we were dealing with. And her catatonic thing was not based on a physical issue. It was based on a mental block or something, a PTSD type of thing, something like that her father caused. And there were other people in there like that too that had their fathers as handlers. I think hers was definitely her father because he came there quite often. And I remember a lot of the patients were trying to now get a hold of that book, thinking there was some kind of secret in the book that would get them the hell out of there. And I'm like, nah, you're all whatever you're under their radar now. They're never going to let you go. One guy who was a musician said, there's that hawk up there, and you're like a rabbit on the ground. That hawk has 50-50 vision, and he sees that rabbit, and what do you think he's going to do? And I'm gonna say, well, he's going to get you. He's not going. I can be the rabbit all day long. He's never going to lay a hand on me. But I love these guys that are like controllers who try to scare you. So back to the Burning Man, tying it all together from mental hospitals, institutions, the AMA, the American Medical Association, law enforcement, with this guy, this whole weird debacle with this shooting, the assassination attempt, further attempts. None of it is organic. None of it has to do with the rule of law. None of it has to do with the law, period. All of it is dictated. Everyone's fate is dictated. No one has a fair trial. It may appear like a fair trial in some cases, but it's not fair. It's already been predetermined what the outcome would be. Nobody lives in America. Nobody has freedom. Nobody has anything. And now the Venezuelan gangs they're doing what Bolsheviks always do, and what we predicted over how many years, hundreds of times, that they're going to go house to house and throw people on the street, take over. Tried to explain this, but dumb Americans, which is how they're looked at around the world, as the Americans are stupid, and that the house is just waiting there for you to move in. All you got to do is throw them out. So, turning to the political aspect now, I think people that think Trump is automatically going to get elected are being too confident, and that may happen. I hope it does. But he has the entire world against him. It's not just America, but it's the UK, it's the EU. It's every continent on the globe is against Trump and for radical, MK Ultra type communism, which involves the rise of the psychiatrists. Let me say it again right here. Psychiatry has been on the rise, but we're going to see the rise of mental institutions in the form of survival, shelters. And under the rubric of psychiatry will come retraining. In other words, you have a psychological illness. You think you live in a democracy. You think your vote counts. You think because they give you a choice like Coke or Pepsi that you've had some kind of a free life in America. You think that, the Super Bowl and all these other things are American traditions. No, they're not, and they never were. They're only there for one reason. To get control of your mind and ultimately to extract your soul. How do they extract the soul? Well, I'm glad you asked. The people that are soulless, you might notice, you who've been in families and grown up and had generations to look at, there's always a couple of people in your family who used to be a certain way, but now it's like nobody there. Nobody home. They've had their soul extracted from them. They've had their soul extracted. It's like the Burning Man. They're trying to take their soul of collectively, the whole kit and caboodle. So that all you're left with is basically mind control robots that will just obey, the slightest order that they're told. And they're also trained through the psychic hive mind, which means they get instructions from demons that speak to them collectively, so they turn the weapons of war on those people that are undesirable. Who's undesirable? Anyone that doesn't conform. And they think, at first it must be some kind of pedophilia thing. Well, that's part of it. It must be these kids are groomed to be servicing the adults in the Illuminati. Yes, that's the children. As Stanley Kubrick said very famously, the world is run by pedophiles. That's why it says in the Bible, Matthew 18:6, burn it into your brain. Anybody who abuses these children, it'd be better if a millstone were around their neck and they were drowned at the bottom of the sea. That to me doesn't seem like Jesus offering redemption there, does it to you? It's a serious thing. Because when the soul is, and the way they take the soul is to traumatize the victim so that they can then get control of the personality, extract that, and hopefully the soul with it, and then reprogram that carcass into functioning in a way that would benefit society or themselves and not be a bother. And you've certainly seen these guys watching TV mindlessly, when they're retired. Hi, Dad. I'm busy with the game. Come on, Detroit's up this time. Oh, good, Dad. Hopefully you're winning. Yeah. And okay, so why would that guy's soul be? Because it's not just the game. It's after the game. the news. It's the TV has extracted the soul because this man conforms so he will get his pension, so he will be able to turn the TV on, and then under the rubric of sports fandom, of being a big sports fan, he can continue to get the soma he so needs and is addicted to, which replaces the soul with a being that just knows the wants of their bellies and their lusts, and knows that if they want their little cracker, if they want their little candy at the end of the rainbow, they're going to have to comply. Anyone who doesn't comply, they want removed from their house, removed from their life, removed from society, removed from the golf club, removed from the high school, removed from the college, and we're never going to give them a degree. Well, then what happens to that person? Well, that person is functionally dead. So once a person gets to that point where they're accepted by society, then they are effectively dead to God. When they're not accepted to society, there's a chance that they belong to God, but then that's the subject of free will, which is another subject, which I don't have time to get into today. So that, it's kind of in a nutshell where we are. The TV has been very helpful. The military-industrial complex has been very helpful. The institutions of the world have been quite helpful in shaping behavior. The whole point of, like, when you go to the hospital is they check your responses, and if you're somehow not in compliance with that jab, for one thing, and then they check other responses, they could set you up to die and justify that, there is no hope with you, so at least we can harvest your organs, thank God. But every one of you has had family experiences where somebody that was there, then something happened and they were never quite themselves again. This actually happened to Joe Biden. Joe Biden was there somewhat. And then after he was trounced in the debate, and I believe that Jill called the hit in, by the way. That was a last-minute assassination call. You know what I mean? It was hastily done. They caught the whole team there, the assassination team. They weren't members of the Secret Service. Josh Hawley has found that out. But he didn't go the next step, which is, well, if they're not Secret Service, why are they there? Well, why do you think, dumbass? They're there to kill the president. Trump. They're there to kill Trump. That's their whole purpose of the government in this situation. And that includes, if the president barks an order to take somebody out, they have to do it. Remember when Trump took out Soleimani? They have to do it. So if it comes from Jill or Joe, it doesn't matter. That's coming from the president. And so they hurried up and hastily put the thing together, and by the grace of God, Trump looked the other way, and a fairly easy shot, a headshot. They had the top photographers there to capture the brain splatter, everything in place, and it just miraculously missed. But that was a woman, completely wanting vengeance. And she still, to this day, I understand, wants vengeance against Obama now and others. I mean, she's mad. Her husband was trashed. And nobody came to her aid. They just wanted to get rid of Joe after that. She felt betrayed on every front. Jill Biden had to call the hit in. There's nobody else that would have hastily. They might have waited a couple of weeks or waited for the right moment or done it in a smoother way where they would have been more accurate. This way, they just threw the guy on the roof, had the assassination team there posing as the Secret Service, and of course the FBI and local law enforcement as well, keeping people compartmentalized. But basically, it's a hit. It's an assassination plot by the government against an individual that is a threat to the government. Trump is a threat to the status quo. Trump is a threat to the New World Order. Trump is a threat to the EU. Trump is a threat to global communism and Marxism. Trump is a threat to slavery and totalitarianism. Trump is a threat to enforced poverty of the masses and enforced trillionaires, billionaires becoming trillionaires of the elites. Trump is a threat to those people. And anyone that votes for the other side is themselves sold out or soulless. If they're a celebtard, they're sold out, soulless. They're told what to vote for. They have no choice, and they have to influence others to do likewise. So they have the Trump orange man bad. He's just a bad guy. Everything he says is a lie. And they just make up stuff that basically what they do is project onto Trump what they do every day, which is lie. So that's basically the bottom line. That's the bottom line truth. There is no other way to look at it. Anyone who tries to look at it differently always falls on their face, because it can be proven quite easily, even with the news articles that are out today, that who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. Trump is there. He may not be the most smooth guy, but he's there for the right motive. He's there to, fix America if he can, and fix the West. And they want to tear the West down, and they want most people to be, older people to be dead from the new virus concoctions. And Bill Gates is out there releasing the viruses along with the guy in the WHO and the WHO guy and the UN, and they're releasing them. And they even announced in the news they're going to release these viruses, like the monkey virus. They're, smallpox, monkey smallpox. They're going to release those. And they tell you they're going to release them, and then they do release them, and the public goes, "Oh, I must comply. I need to get my vaccine." And that's, so God looks at that, and this is my opinion here, but it's time to get the hook. Sorry. What purpose is there for these people living on? I mean, really, seriously, what purpose? Going to BK, have it your way, and get a burger, and get those new fries they got. I mean, what other purpose is there? Take the Burning Man. What is the purpose of the Burning Man? To tie it all together today. I think we'll just call this the Burning Corpse. What is the purpose of the Burning Man? Right? To inspire useless eaters to remain useless, correct? Yeah, and certainly, to never, ever, ever think that there might be a God there, or there might be a reason to change. Make sure that that's lopped off. The social pressure is too much. You would be disinvited any future Burning Man if you decided to look to the truth for what caused the universe to become in the first place. That would be the end of you. But that would require somebody capable of thought, which we can make the argument. Are they just hedonists, just moving their bodies? And it feels pretty good moving my body, and I need more drugs. Like, I got to inject the ketamine. Come on, the pill is lightweight, dude. And where's the vodka, for God's sake? Yeah, I like to have my screwdriver at 9 a.m. and then look around for some more pussy out there. Can't find no pussy? Well, fine. Then where's the liquid drug guy? Okay, good. I can imagine it. Forgive me, folks, please. I've had a kind of a rough life. I've been around a lot of ex-convicts and been in a lot of bands. You know what I mean? Those are all good experiences. I'm grateful that I was able to do that, and I didn't have to ask permission, because, mommy is not mommy. I mean, mommy's part of it, but mommy is not mommy. The society is mommy. They have to give me permission to be in a band. If I don't get permission to be in a band or direct a film or do something like that, it ain't going to happen. They're going to make sure everything fails, except those who comply. So isn't COVID interesting? How the whole COVID years brought out their program that they've been doing to us for centuries and brought it out into the open. And let me ask you again, folks, do you want to be one of them? No, you do not. Do you, as painful as it is to be an individual today and to have your own thoughts and to see people break your heart right and left, I mean, I can't tell you, I mean, you know, celebrities and actors and directors and stuff, you know, finally come clean as to who's signing their checks. And I'm just like, man, I thought you were the real deal. I thought you were a real artist. I didn't think you were just like on the tit. And now I realize. And even the talent you had, you don't have it now. So back then, you had to have some kind of demonic help with the talent to pull it off as Academy Award winning actor or whatever. And then it turns out that you weren't sure where that talent came from, but one thing was for sure. When the spigot was turned off, you didn't have it, and you fell. And they were waiting for you to make another move. I don't know, you could sacrifice another kid or something. And you didn't do it, so they pushed you out. Now you either influence people to comply. That means all people. That means from the North Pole to the South Pole. Or you're done. I mean, the only reason we hired you is because you are able to influence people to comply. And if you can't do that, then we don't want you anymore. Does that make sense? God bless those people that made a living on their own, who could stand up and say, I've got my own. Who, whatever little success they've had, at least it's theirs. At least they earned it. Hallelujah. What a great notion to have, huh? What a great... I hope there's some of you musicians and actors and directors and cowardly producers listening in. Because you know, if you elect the commie, you know, you're done anyway, unless you want to go become part of that. I can't imagine you just being a murderer, an outright murderer. You've never been a murderer before. Would you like to be a murderer? Because most of the people that are going to be producing films in the future, the big moguls, they're all got to be murderers. You want to murder someone? You want to watch them bleed out? Plenty of video. I just saw a video of a guy get stabbed to death just because he was white, and he's sitting there having his lunch. Black guy comes up and just stabs him to death. I'm not making a statement about black versus white, blah, 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 but it was just interesting how, this guy that stabbed him to death took his marching orders from his church and television. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stabbed him to death. So that's the world you live in. You don't even know it because it goes down so smooth. It's like 100-year-old cognac. It's butter, baby. It's almost like a salve on your soul, so that those murders go down nice and smooth, man, nice and smooth. In fact, they cut the top of Trump's ear off, and with a direct hit, and nobody really batted an eye. Are they? You see anybody talking about that today much, except for Fox News? You don't think CNN is complicit? I'll put myself on the clock today. I'm going to move this song. I got a couple, I got some material to play for you. Something I hope you like. It looks like we're coming into it now. Yeah. You know what? There might be only 5 people in the world there's only 5 people in the world that even know about this little piece I wrote and composed and performed on. But you know something? It's mine, and I'm pleased with it. And I'm offering it to God right now with gratitude that he would give me enough talent to do something that I could actually be pleased with. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for keeping me intact. I mean, the only time where I came close to death, really, is when I was foolish, okay? When I did things and said things in the wrong place. But, of course, God loved it, though. You know what I mean? Like when I'm bold on the podcast and people go, oh, he's going to get his ass killed and on. He loves that because then he protects me, and and my friends will attest to the fact that I have been protected. And now if I die, it's kind of like, well, I've had I don't want to cause trouble, but I've had a pretty damn good run. And I'm so glad I got to visit Earth and see the people. I'm not going to give you a goodbye or any words from my epitaph because I'm not going anywhere yet. But what he wants from me is more of this, I don't know what it is. I get into a state and I say stuff that occurs to me. Well, have you ever thought you had a demon? And I was like, well, I've oftentimes wondered if it came from a demon or not. And the only way I could tell is because when I go to that space, God usually, I feel his love. With demons, it's like I'm fighting something. You're fighting off an illness. They're coming at you with all your sins and old ones from that you're ashamed of from when you were a child, And they try to slip you back into an old pattern. And that's usually, like 99% of the time, that's a demon. That's a demonic attack. I mean, that right there, the character of it is demonic. And then, then if I'm suffering that, I need deliverance. Whether I do it or someone else does it, it doesn't really matter. I need healing. And so that has been one of the hazards, But you can tell, I mean, when God is with me, I feel this fearlessness. I know it's not coming from me because I'm just a normal person most of the time. But when I get into this thing that I get into, whatever it is, it goes down. And then I'm like, oh, I can't put that up. And then Trish comes in, almost planned by God, and insists that I put it up there. And I put it up there, and I have to shut my ears and my eyes and not look at it because I'm afraid of what I've said. I'm afraid of what I've done. But what am I really afraid of? I'm afraid of what the world will think. Oh, well, therefore, just put it up then. Don't worry about it. Well, I'll see you next time. God bless you. This is pretty fun today.